So we're gonna be getting out to the gym, and I figured it'd be a great day to try out the iPhone SE. Kind of a real day in the life with the iPhone SE. Stay. And yeah, so definitely should be fun. Just grabbing my water. So if you guys see me like moving around all the time, just kind of grabbing my water. And so today will be the very first time I get to use the iPhone SE out. We're gonna hope to try it out for maybe like a month. And I know ahead of the new iPhone, I wanted to give this a spin because, oh, check out the video. Alright, so we're back from the gym, and I have to say this phone has impressed me a lot. To start, I want to just put up the specs so you guys see exactly what we're dealing with in terms of an iPhone. Right now, this is the white version of the iPhone SE 2020. This is the 64 gig model. This is the phone, and I have to say my initial impressions of the phone was that this phone's a little baddie. This phone is a powerhouse for $400. You know what I mean? $400. You can't sleep on this. This phone is in my recommendations. Like, you can't get any better than this, in my opinion. It's an Apple phone. You guys know why I like Apple phones. Now, when I was at the gym, I noticed right away the one thing that I missed was the home button. When you go out to any public event, they're asking you to keep on your mask, and having this little home button just reminded me of how, like, when life was a little simpler. The other thing I liked about the phone immediately is how light the phone is. The phone itself is super light, man. It's super light. Those are just two of the caveats that I noticed right away when using this phone. I felt like I didn't have anything in my pocket. It was easy to use. This, I mean, if you're used to Apple, you're gonna be able to pick up this phone right away. Now, with that said, if you're transitioning from a Face ID model down to a fingerprint scanner model, such as the iPhone SE, it does feel weird. Like, I'm telling you right away, like, as soon as I grabbed the phone, I tried to use it, and it felt just weird to use it for the first 10 minutes because I'm so used to swiping up, so used to Face ID and swiping up and doing that. The one thing that's kind of outdated, and you know, I hate to knock it, but it is the bezels. Like, the bezels on the top and bottom are a little bit outdated, and with the iPhone 12s coming out and the minis coming out, it's going to be refreshing to see a phone with a full full display, like a full display with little to no bezels. So again, but you can't beat this phone though. There are a couple phones that I would recommend in line with this iPhone. If you're a Mac user or an Apple user like I am, you can't beat this. You can't beat this. I feel like this phone took me back to a time where I didn't need to care about taking pictures as much, care about taking videos as much. I felt like it had the basics to get me by. Naturally, some of the differences between these phones and the higher end phones are obviously you're getting a faster processor, you get better display, better battery life. With that said, this phone has all the basics for me at the very least. So it is IPS water resistant. It does have the wireless charging. It does have the fast charging. It pairs remarkably fast with the Power Beats and the Airpods. Like, this thing took probably half a second, maybe a millisecond to pair with my wireless headsets. And now let's get over to the cons of this phone. Now, one of the cons of this phone is the size. So the phone itself is a small phone, a smaller phone. And when you're so used to using larger phones, especially today, it's a little different to when you go down to a phone like this where you're trying to consume media. And I found that oftentimes I was getting a little too close to the screen to watch the same things. And this is something I didn't think I'd like. The always on display was a lifesaver. So I found myself, there's a couple times throughout the day I found myself just tapping the screen to check out the time, or tapping the screen to check my notifications, and I couldn't see it for, and then it hit me that this didn't have it. Another con that I found with this Apple device was the battery life is horrendous. If you're gonna buy this phone for the battery life, I would strongly avoid it. You're not gonna get a full day's worth out of this. I think I got 3 hours of on-screen time with this, using this phone throughout the day. I just thought that I'd get a little bit more, especially with a newer phone like this. I would assume something like this in the older iPhones, like the iPhone 6, 7, maybe the 8, but seeing that this is a slight refresh to the earlier versions, and with some slight upgrades, I expected a little bit better battery life. I just think that this would be something that I could recommend to someone who's a power user. Now, if you're definitely a power user, I have to recommend one of the iPhone Pluses, one of the Pro versions, because you're going to get a full day's worth out of it. In terms of battery life, you will notice a difference between those, between the Pluses. Now, could you imagine if I'm using a smaller phone with a smaller battery compared to a larger phone with a large battery? It's like night and day. It's night and day in my opinion. So yeah, man, but this phone was definitely enjoyable to use. It's definitely, I mean, if you guys have the extra cash and want to have a backup phone, this is definitely something I'd recommend. And if, depending on how this, some iOS 14 and 15, if we, when we get there, I'm wondering how this will handle the test of time. So, but I can't imagine that Apple's going to drop out this phone just to obsolete it in a year or two. This is going to be possibly on their lineup for a couple of years at the very latest. So just to wrap up, if you are considering a small phone, you're looking for the fingerprint toucher, you're looking for something with fast charging, wireless charging, IPS water resistancy. I'm not saying to go throw this in the river, but if you're looking for something that's gonna stand a couple splashes, this is definitely the phone. Now, if you do have smaller hands and you prefer a smaller phone, or you just like smaller phones, I say get the iPhone SE. But again, it's not a phone that I could strongly recommend for someone who is a power user, someone who's gonna want to use it for like media consumption. You're not gonna get a full days out of it. But yeah, man, that's the video, guys. If you guys like this video, I would have much appreciated if you give it a thumbs up. My name is Gene, I'm Jack's twin. On this channel, we talk tech. If you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Click the subscribe button down below to be notified and stay up to date when I drop new videos. I just want to give a big shout out to the folks over at the Apple Store for indulging me, for taking care of me every single time I come in there. And that's it. Just want to also give a big shout out to my brother who wanted me to do a quick review on this. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. Until my next video, peace.